I'm doing today. Okay, so I am broadcasting from my phone, and this is kind of awkward. Like, I have never tried this before. All right, so this is episode 100. Affected a lot of things. Like, I didn't plan for today's episode to be like this. I wish I could actually hold this thing this way so that you guys will be able to see me properly. I think this is way better. I'm not sure. Anyway, so how are you guys doing? How is life? How is whatever it is that you guys are doing, wherever you guys are? I hope you guys are doing well. I would try for the very last time and see if my laptop would pick up so that I can actually change, and then we would start the program proper. But if this is your first time of being a part of the show and you're probably wondering what this whole episode is about, we talk about business, talk about lifestyle, we talk about entrepreneurship, and I'm still trying to make sure that my laptop comes on. I'm trying to give it a shot. Want to connect my Wi-Fi again. I'm sorry for the hiccup for today. I really did not plan it, but it's one of those days, and the show must go on. All right, so I'll be talking about ways you can actually master your fears in life and business. And for a lot of you guys, I'm sure you guys must have probably gone through a phase in your life where you have faced a fear that you never really thought might actually hold you down, but then you've had to face it, and you've had to deal with that fear. And for some of you guys, you've not really been able to overcome that fear, and that is what we are looking at today. And kind of my hand is aching me, having to hold my phone this way. I hope you guys can actually hear me properly, but I'll be taking each point one after the other, and then would try to make this episode as fast as possible. All right, so number one on my list is know the source of your fear. It is always very, very important that you know the source of the fear, right? Anytime you're actually feeling fearful, right? If you can have something, or if you can have a journal that you can actually write down, let us know what the cost of this fear is. It might be money, it might be something that is from your childhood that has actually triggered you to be fearful at every point in time. You actually need to know the source of this fear, because if you do not know what you're dealing with, if you do not know the core of the fear, then you might not be able to solve that fear on the long run. All right, that's number one on my list. Number two on the list is you have to learn to breathe. Now, one of the things that you would actually come to realize over time is that whenever you're having these fears, there's this likelihood that you have this palpitation happening, that you cannot probably breathe properly. At that point in time, you just have to learn to breathe, because when you are having anxiety and you would realize you have this short breath happening to you, and you can't really breathe properly. Now, at this point in time, you have to learn to take in deep breaths whenever you know that you're fearful, you are experiencing these fears coming your way, right? Breathe in and then breathe out slowly. Constantly do that. All right, learn to breathe properly. It will help you out in facing your fear. Number three on the list, I'm going to click it on my screen again, is imagine a worst case scenario. Now, today is one of those days I would never imagine that I would have to use my phone to connect to a live broadcast, to actually talk on a live broadcast. And yeah, this is the worst case scenario. And as it is, the show really will still have to go on, because I can't say because my internet messed up, my laptop messed up, that I would not come on this live broadcast. And yeah, imagine the worst case scenario. And more often than not, when you tend to imagine the worst case scenario, you then realize that it is really not as bad as you think it is. Because when you begin to chase your fears by thinking of what could be the worst thing that could actually happen, you will then realize that it really cannot, it's not as bad as you think it is. All right, when you tell yourself that okay, this thing I'm afraid of, all right, I'm broke right now, what's the worst case scenario? I'll probably not be able to eat for 2 or 3 days. But when you begin to imagine it, then you most likely will start seeing solutions. Okay, what if I then go to meet this person and then tell this person hey, I don't really have this at hand right now. I don't have the money that I seek, and I'm wondering, can you help me out with this thing, right? By the time you think of the worst case scenario, solutions will begin to come your way. It's a known thing, right? Now, when I had this issue with this thing that happened today, right, I really did not even plan it, yeah. And then my laptop went off, my internet went off. I quickly rushed to grab my phone. I subbed MTN on the phone because usually I use my Globacom, but Globacom is not working right now. I subbed on my MTN. I was like, okay, I tried connecting through, connecting on the laptop. My laptop was not cooperating. I was like, okay, what's the next thing I can do? I have a phone. I got a solution at that point in time, and I connected immediately using my phone. And now, like, the live broadcast is on, and we are live right now, and I am still delivering what I need to teach today. Okay, so when you imagine the worst case scenario, there's always that likelihood that like a solution would always come to your head. All right, and you realize that like this fear, this thing that like I'm actually afraid of, is not really so much of a big deal. All right, it's really not it. So number 4 on the list is look at the facts. Now, if you guys are imagining how I'm actually like bringing up all these points on my screens, because I'm using my phone, I can actually access this software on my phone, and okay, so sorry, somebody tried calling me just now. Okay, so the next thing you could probably do at that point in time is like ask yourself, what are the facts on ground? Okay, look at all the facts that are available to you. Then you most likely will realize that like it's your fear is as some people put the acronym like false evidence appearing real. All right, false evidence appearing real, and you will then realize that, hey, this thing I'm actually afraid of is not something that I am actually meant to be afraid of, because based on the facts that I have, this thing is probably just going to be temporal, and I can actually like overcome that phase of my life, and I can actually move on, or this phase would pass over time. So based on the facts, I really do not have to be afraid. I can easily look for a solution for the problem that I'm facing, and I will be able to like solve that situation on time. All right, so that's number 4 on the list. Number 5 on my list is speak to someone. If you realize that like there's something that you're actually afraid of, and it's really getting to it, is eating you up, open up to people, talk to people, tell them that like, hey, I'm actually facing this at this point in time. I need help. Is there any way you can actually help me out with this? Is there any way you can be of support, moral support, emotional support, or whatever form of support that like the person can actually act as, okay, let me try to like set this in properly. Okay, that the person can actually act as, okay, so ask the person that like, okay, can you help me out with this? This is what I'm going through. Open up, don't just bottle up all the things that you're going through within you. Talk to someone, let someone know what you're actually going through. Number 6 on the list is face your fears. All right, whatever it is that like is happening around you right now, you just have to face it. Know that like, okay, this is mine, this is my cross, and I need to face that fear at that point in time. Okay, face it head on, and you would realize that like that thing that like you actually feel that is a mountain could actually turn out to be a mouse. All right, you've just been afraid of a mouse. You've just been afraid of the shadow of the mouse. You've made it look larger than life, and that is why you've been anxious over time. But when you face it, one, you know for sure that like this thing will not kill you. Definitely, it will not kill you. And if it tends to like if it's going to probably affect your life, we've already talked about you speaking to someone. All right, tell the person what it is, and those people would also support you to actually face your fear. But if you feel that like, okay, it's something that like on your own, right, you could do, face it head on. Don't hold back. Face your fears, and you'd realize that like it's something that you can actually do on the long run. Number 7 on the list is everything happening is a growth process. Now, know this and know this truth. All right, know this fact and know it as a truth that whatever is happening around you is for you and not against you. All right, whatever is happening in your life per time is a growth process. And more often than not, when we begin to like have this fear around us, like, okay, this thing is happening in my life, this thing is like affecting me, I am scared about it. By the time you're done passing through that phase, you then get to realize that like it wasn't really that bad. It wasn't really as I felt it would be, because it's actually a growth process. I just needed to pass through that phase. And when I am done passing through it, I will then realize like, wow, okay, this thing is not as I thought it is. And over time, when you realize that like, okay, these things are just like it's a process, it will not last forever. Then once you see any new fear, you then begin to realize that like this too will pass. This is just for a phase. This will not be forever, and I can easily scale through that phase of my life. All right, that's number 7. Then the last but not least is have an abundant mindset. Now, when you have an abundant mindset, you get to realize that, hey, if this thing is coming my way at this point in time, but because I know that like God would always provide much more than I have thought or imagined, the universe would bring my way anything I ask of it, right? When you have this mentality that like, okay, things would always happen for my good, then you realize that like your fear begins to go down. You are no longer fearful about your business. You're no longer fearful about your life. You are actually going to scale through that phase of your life. All right. So with these 7 points or 8 points rather that I've actually mentioned, you will then realize that like it's very, very easy for you to be able to like face your fears. I had my fear of not being able to like come up live today, but here we are. Episode 157 done and dusted, and I am proud of myself. I am happy, right? If you are watching later on and you are saying this, please like, share, and tell somebody about this show. All right, I'm sure that like you've been able to like learn go live. If you're seeing Oshima Adams on the screen, it's because I'm using my phone to go live. And usually I use Adams Oluwafemi on my screen from my laptop. All right. So this brings us to the end of today's episode. It's been a pleasure being here with you guys. Thank you very much for sticking around. I'll see you guys this weekend. Have a great weekend, guys, and be the best version God has created you to be. Bye-bye.